I'm so happy that you made it to this video because today I'm about to share something that changed my life, and if you apply it the right way, I think it can change your life too. We're talking about a rut. It's one of the worst feelings ever. You start getting motivated, but something gets in your way and you slowly drift deeper and deeper into a hole without maybe realizing it even. But at some point you're just there and you feel like shit. Now, first thing first, don't worry, because it is absolutely normal. Even though normal doesn't mean right. See, if you look at what's normal, it's normal to be on social media, to watch Netflix, eat junk food, to play games, to be lazy. These are all normal things. If you ask the most people, they say, yeah, it's right to do that. Maybe some of them will say it's right to do it once in a while. No worries, you can take a break. All of these kind of things. If you also look at what's normal, you'll see that most of the population is overweight. So what about all of these things is actually normal? Now, don't let me make that decision. Make it for yourself. For me, an easy indicator is to look in the future. So which of these acts acted out on a long period of time will make you more healthy and more productive? That's how I look at things. So the more you repeat these things, will they make you more healthy or less? And that's one measurement you could do, but you could do many. Now, one thing is for sure, you don't call it a rut because it feels good. If you look at all of these things closely, you will realize they all feel good, but just in the moment. But doing them over a long period of time, you get where I'm going. They don't really have a great outcome. Being in a rut most of the time is stopping the good habits because something else is nagging you. And all of a sudden, you find yourself scrolling for hours, eating a bad diet, feeling lost, and just feeling like giving up because there's no hope. And probably you've been in a rut, then you got out of it, and now you're in a rut again. So you're like, when is it gonna stop? Now, before we get into how to get out of a rut, let me first make this point very clear. The reason why you are in a rut is because you stop doing the good habits and let the bad habits replace them. So this is the exact key to stay out of a rut. That also means once you make it out of this rut, you can actually stay out of it forever. Like, there's hope. Or until you allow the bad habits to creep in once again. Alright, so how do we get out of this bad rut? Well, first things first, don't think bad about it. Just look at it from an objective standpoint and think to yourself, well, I've accepted the bad habits into my life, and a culmination and combination of all of these created this rut. Now that you've realized and accepted this, you should actually write them down. I'll just give you 3 examples for bad habits so you get an idea. But at the end of the day, you have to decide it yourself because you know where you want to go and you know where you don't want to go. So you kind of know which of these things will make you succeed at that thing and which don't. The 3 examples are smoking, whatever it is, just smoking in general, scrolling on social media, eating junk food. Any of these things don't have a long-term good outcome. And these habits are not bad because I say so or someone on social media says so, but rather because you feel like you have to do it to feel better, but actually they have the opposite effect on you. Really feel free to pause this video and write these things down. Well, maybe there's one more thing you've realized with this rut. You have no motivation to do whatsoever. And here's the reason why. You as a human being have a limited amount of energy and attention, and you just gave it to the bad habits. So to get out of it, you really have to make this first step and just, instead of turning off this video and going to scrolling again or eating bad food again or watching your next Netflix show, really take out a pen like this and a piece of paper and write them actually down. Do it. And if you can't find stuff like that, don't continue with this video. Actually do it. Pause this video, write down your bad habits and be honest about it. It is not a problem to admit it because writing it down will actually make it easier for you because now you don't have like 10 things circling in your head. You can look at one thing and attack this one thing only. So do it. Now that you've written it down, we go back to looking at it from a completely objective standpoint, which is humans do most things routinely and habitually. If you don't believe me, look at the way you get out of bed, the way you hold a fork, the way you go to toilet, the way you step out of the car, the way you tie your shoes, the way you pull a chair, the way you sit down on the chair. Like most of these things you do exactly the same. You don't think about doing them differently tomorrow. You just do them. The reason why is very simple. If you had to think about every single step you had to take, you couldn't enjoy life. You couldn't do anything creative because you would be like, lift arm, move arm forward, put eyes on bottle, grab bottle. You can't live like that. So instead, your brain has learned to do these things automatically. So I just grab the bottle, I just open it up without thinking about it. I can talk to you in the same time. It's nothing crazy, but that's how humans work. And that's what you need to realize about yourself. The only difference between all of the humans is what they do routinely. Like, while you routinely scroll on social media or eat junk food, people like, for example, Cristiano Ronaldo, he works out routinely and he eats good food out of habit. He doesn't even need to think about it. Now, the difference between these two things is he might be just as addicted to football as you are to your social media, but he just chose something that increases his life quality over long term. So playing football, he got better and better, he made more and more money, he ate healthier, so he got stronger, better, faster, more focused, and all of these things. So instead of relying on your willpower and trying just not to do it, you have to actually replace it with something you should be doing or something that will actually help you in the long run. Now, how do you make that transition? Because these urges are so strong. Well, the first thing you need to think about is you look at the first habit you wrote down and you think to yourself, what is the easiest way for me to do that? Let's say it is social media. So the easiest way for me to scroll on social media is when my phone is turned on the app, let's say it's Instagram, plugged in so it never runs out of battery, connected to Wi-Fi with unlimited data, and you have nothing else to do. If you do that, it's very easy for you to scroll. And now that you've found out what's the easiest way for you to do all of these things, what's the easiest setting, ask yourself what is the exact opposite. So the opposite is my phone is not in my hand, not close to me, so very far away. On the other side of my apartment or house, it is turned off. There's no Instagram on the phone installed, so there's no way to click on it. It doesn't have Wi-Fi connection, and I have something else to do. Now, if you do that with every single habit, you will really quickly realize what you can actually do to make it way harder for you to do these bad habits. Now, don't get overwhelmed. Don't do it with all of these things you wrote down. Just do it with the 1, 2, 3 worst of these habits, like those that follow you everywhere you go and you just feel like they are ruining your life. So let's say, for example, you're angry at a coworker or at your brother or father, whatever it is, but you're just angry at them because you see them once a week and you have some issues with them. You can fix that at some point, but right now you should focus on the things that follow you daily. Now, even though you've figured all of these things out, how to remove them so you can't do them again, you will realize that you still try to do them. And the reason is the exact same why we do everything we do, because you are habitual. In the last weeks, months, or even years, you've trained your brain to do this action again and again. And if you don't believe me, move your phone away and do that for a whole day and realize how many times you will go grab your pocket, go grab your phone on the desk. Like, you will do these moves and you will actually think you're crazy because you're trying to grab something that is not there. And that's just the sign for you that you are a habitual being. You need to use your conscious mind to control your habitual mind. So that exact moment where you have these urges is where you put the replacement in. The replacement is the good habit. Now you might think, well, working out is a good habit, so I will replace it with my bad habit. But you can have 25 workouts a day. But what you can do is do a smaller version of that. So hit push-ups or go for a walk or a run. Do some jumping squats, whatever it is. Do that thing instead of doing the bad habit. And if the people around you might think you're crazy, whatever. You're trying to make your life worth living and not just be a scrolling zombie. Now, one thing that I found is very helpful in the beginning to replace it with is educational content, either in long form YouTube content, so something that is longer than an hour, or books. Now, important thing with the YouTube content is, because it's so easy to click anything, it should be aligned with your purpose or your mission or something you're trying to learn. Like, don't watch true crime stories, which is 1 hour long and you learn something about crimes. Or don't watch how the political party XYZ is working and what they're doing in the world, because it probably is not connected to your life. So instead, do something that is connected to either your job, what you study, what you work on, or maybe something connected to your body and sleep and health. So you actually learn something about yourself and actually get better with yourself in your life. So every time you have this urge and you feel like this urge is too big, I cannot concentrate on doing anything else. Like, if I don't do anything else now, I will do this bad habit. That's where you put the replacement in. And this is how you slowly but surely remove all of the bad habits, because all you're doing all day long is now either working on something or watching or reading educational content. And all of these things will actually make you better in the long run. Now, it is also important, after some time, you have to realize that watching long-form content all the time will not help you if you're not working with it. So at some point, you will realize that these things also kind of turn into a bad habit. But this bad habit is now way better than scrolling on some app for hours and just getting dopamine hit after dopamine hit. So, to summarize all of this, simply remember, a rut is a combination of bad habits performed over a long period of time, because a bad habit feels good in the moment but feels bad over the long run. In contrast, good habits feel rather not so good in the moment but great in the long run. So for example, working out, maybe you're having fun, but sometimes you don't, but in the long run it has a good benefit. To never get into a bad rut again is to never allow the bad habits to creep again. So you have to be very attentive and very careful. And also remember, to get out of the bad habits, don't just use your willpower and try not to do it. Find first a way to make it very hard for you to do it, and then find a replacement that is actually a good habit or a way better habit. And the reason why is because even though you made that decision to not do the bad habit again, you are a habitual being, just like you drink out of a bottle or out of a glass, the way you lace your shoes, the way you drive a car. Everything is habitual, so in the same way, the bad habits, even though you remove them, you will still try to act these out, even though in your mind are telling yourself, I don't want to do it. So now that you've watched this video, I really don't want you to click on any other video, not because I don't like the other creators and I don't believe they have valuable content, but because I really want you to level up. And you're not gonna level up if you're gonna watch the next video and tell yourself, well, I wrote these things down, this is a great concept and a great idea, I will do it tomorrow. This is not how it works. Start today. There's no perfect time. You have to start today and you have to make it very, very strict. You might go crazy, but trust me, after a few days of doing that, you will actually realize how much more relaxed you are, how much more focused you are with yourself and not just like ADHD trying to find something to do. You can just chill. So I really hope you follow this advice. Look at the bad habits you wrote down. Maybe you can continue writing them down. And you can also think about the educational content that you're gonna look at. Because if you just now head over to YouTube and look for long-form educational content, you're probably gonna end up somewhere that is not really productive for you again, even though you might learn something. But you're gonna learn something about birds or about cars or about whatever. There's so much content. So rather just find the topics that actually are beneficial to you and then stick to these topics when you're watching the long-form education content. But the even better thing would be to use these topics and buy books that are related to it. And not just books like science fiction, but actual helpful books. So that's it for today's video. I really hope you learned something out of it. I don't care if you enjoyed it, because this is not about an entertainment. This is about leveling up your life. And that's what my channel is for. So if you took value out of it, leave a like and really save this video to watch it over and over again if it was too much information at once. But try to apply all of these steps and trust me, you will change your life, because I did too. Like 2 months ago, I was working hard and trying to do this and that, but I was still scrolling here, scrolling there, doing this, doing that. And it ruins everything. It ruins your focus, it ruins your ambition, it ruins your energy, everything. So when I really changed that, since then I'm productive as I've never been before. And I'm not even like working harder, I'm doing less. But just the output is so much more, because instead of having like the time where I'm scrolling and distracted, I have free time, so I can use that free time to think about the next thing. And because I have that, I can do the next thing way better than if I would do it after scrolling for hours. Because after scrolling for hours, until you can think about the thing you're gonna do now, it takes 30 minutes, an hour, a day, because you've seen so much crazy content and you think about it again and again. So it's not only the time you're not spending here, it's like the focus you're gaining back. So thanks for watching this video. If you like this type of content, consider subscribing, and I will catch you tomorrow in the next video. Peace.